You have a short notice replacement on 2 weeks, right? Where it went from being high risk, high reward with Umar Nurmagomedov to even higher risk, lower reward with Rob Font, right? Like, you basically don't win anything. You're just defending your number. There's no reason that Cory Sandhagen should go out there, take unnecessary risks, and potentially lose and go back in the queue for a title shot, right? So he said, I'm going to dominate it. I'm going to do it in the way of least resistance, and I'm going to secure my title shot. And he absolutely did that. Doesn't look like he went over any fans or, impressed the champion, Aljamain Sterling, for a rematch. But the point is, he did what he needed to do, right? There's no fault that should be given here.
Not one bit, Derek. And even in the pre-show, we were talking about what we liked most about Cory Sandhagen's game is the evolution he's showing. Mm-hmm. He just showed another layer to that evolution. He did what TJ Dillashaw did to him. Control him, put him on the back, and it literally dominate the entire fight. Well, now he just showed that he learned from that experience and didn't put himself in danger. Because if you go knuckle to knuckle with Rob Font, man, you were looking at a very dangerous opponent and quite possibly either a very short night or a long nap. Like, either way, it's a dangerous situation for Cory Sandhagen to take. I think he did the smart thing. You can't really fault him too much because none of us are going to go in there toe-to-toe with Rob Font either.
I mean, that's true. And the other thing you have to take into consideration is that given the stylistic difference between the fighters, like, Rob Font looked like he was starting to have a little success on the feet before the takedown came. And this ultimately was Cory Sandhagen versus Chito Rivera, like 2.0, number 2, right? Because he just said, every time I'm going to shoot on that single, and if you give me the takedown, I'm just going to take it round after round after round. That's exactly what we said in the pre-show, is that if you don't evolve over the course of the 5 rounds, he's just going to find whatever method is easiest to take you down and beat you. So I thought it was an incredibly impressive performance in terms of like a high level, self-proclaimed masterclass victory here against Rob Font. My other question here isn't really in regards to Cory Sandhagen. I want to talk about his injury that he said he suffered, but more about Rob Font. He came off a spectacular victory against Adrian Yanez, kind of brought you back into the mix, and then you take a short notice fight for an opportunity, hoping, same thing that Jessica Andrade did, hoping with this win, I'm really solidified in the title picture. You lost in pretty devastating fashion. Where do we go with Rob Font now?
It's interesting, Derek, because before you said for Cory Sandhagen, this was kind of a win and almost a loss-lose kind of situation. Same thing for Rob Font, man. I actually feel his not his character, but his fight style and the way he presents himself in MMA kind of suffered a little bit of loss here because of that lack of evolution through the fight. Now, to me, at least, it seems like Rob Font has really solidified himself as that top 5 to top 8 kind of fighter that's going to be fighting the cream of the crop coming up. The Umars, the all the people that are going to be looking for the title. Now they just have to go through Rob Font. Do you also think he's been relegated to a little bit more of the back seat, or is this guy 2 fights away from seeing possibly sniffing the gold?
Well, after seeing him getting out-grappled the way he did against a guy who is not proclaimed to be the greatest grappler, a man who we've seen develop his grappling in real time, right? Seeing that level of domination, given it was on short notice, it just makes me a little worried that, he will just be that top 5 gatekeeper. But Rob Font, I think, is always a live dog in any fight that he's in, especially if he's able to let his hands go. Either way, Cory Sandhagen did say that he suffered potentially either an elbow or a tricep injury in the first round of the fight, so he wanted to play it easy, play it safe, so it's the shortest turnaround for a championship fight against either Sean O'Malley or Aljamain Sterling. So my question, and then we'll move on to the next fight, is does Cory Sandhagen indeed get the next shot for the title, or do we think this injury is going to put him back in the queue once again? So it's almost like this fight didn't even matter.
Derek, I don't want to say it, but I do think it's almost like this fight doesn't matter for some reason. Whether Sean O'Malley wins or Aljo wins or something like that, I feel like Cory Sandhagen is going to do another thing to himself where he puts somebody else in front of him and goes, oh, well, this guy might need to fight. Let's say Sugar wins. And then they get the rematch, or maybe they don't get the rematch, but then Merab comes in and says, I want to fight you now because you beat up my boy. It seems like Cory Sandhagen has some chess pieces in front of him that are a little harder to move. Do you see it the same way, or is Cory Sandhagen next up no matter what?
I kind of see it like the Dricus du Plessis situation where he fought and then the title fight's happening really soon, like literally in 2 weeks, right? So it's like, will you be ready for a quick turnaround? And if not, will they just throw somebody else in your place? Well, the 2 top contenders are currently injured, Merab and Cory Sandhagen. So if we really take a look at it, the only person who makes sense right now would I mean, there's nobody, man. It's literally Marab, O'Malley, Sandhagen, Jan, Cejudo, Vera, Font. Like, they all just fought in that little gambit right there. Interesting times ahead for the bantamweight division, but that was a fantastic win over Cory Sandhagen, a precise, a technical, a precision type victory right there.